1, 2, 3.
It's a holiday mashup. It's a holiday mashup. It's a holiday mashup.
We only do it twice.
First of all, we've done this 14 times trying to record this. So if you add all of that up, like, we're doing okay. With the Painful Lessons Podcast and
Armie.hammer Time Podcast.
Here we go. All right. Hey, Tyler.
So, how are your hammerhead? Hey, how are my hammerheads? I really like it when you say
Hammerheads. We got to come up with one for Painful Lessons Podcasts.
Painies.
This is the painies. I like it.
How are my painies?
Okay, so how did we get here, Tyler?
We got here because we share a producer, and we have
producer Jerry. He's here.
And you can only shoot so many podcasts per week. And so we thought, let's do a joint one. And also, it's like you've had a huge year. I've had a big year. And it's kind of a nice time to review the year.
We're doing this because we're lazy, ultimately.
And because it's a huge hassle to set up.
Oh, by the way, that was a massive hassle to set up.
Yeah.
It took us like 3 hours. But lazy in a sort of like esoteric sense, because we each have a bank of podcasts that are sitting on a safety net.
Yeah.
Because guests fall out, schedules change, holidays are coming up. I'm about to go work in another country. You've got your own stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so when we have podcasts to release them, it's like, okay, we don't want to touch the reserve.
Right.
So we thought if we get together and do this and do a holiday special, that's one more week.
It's one more week
that we're adding to our safety net. So here we are doing a 2024 recap.
Holiday mashup.
Yeah.
So I've had a big year, but I think you have had a momentous year. This has been a huge year for you.
Yeah. How about this? I've had a momentous last 2 months.
Okay.
The first part of the year was, I was still living in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
I wasn't working. There were no work prospects. My day really consisted of, waking up, going to the kids' house, getting them up, cooking their breakfast, helping Elizabeth get them out the door to school, driving them to school, and then watching them walk into school and going, fuck, I have nothing else to do today. So then, like, going to play pickleball for 3 hours, or like learning to golf. And it was a wonderful life. It is a wonderful life if you're like 70 years old and retired. But when I'm 37, 38 years old and all I want to do is like be productive in life, it moves real slow.
Okay.
And so then we move back to America in August. And then since, I would say, I don't know, maybe since October, it's been a momentum-filled last couple of months.
Yeah.
You've had a great year too, though.
I've had a great year.
Tell us about your year, Tom.
I started this podcast.
Yeah. Well, not this one.
I started Painful Lessons Podcast.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more proud of it.
Yeah.
Couldn't be more proud of it. And then my wife is killing it. She started this company.
Yeah.
And it's killing it. The Fresh Test.
And did she have a job before this?
Yeah, she worked at Hologic in medical device sales.
Come on, we got to do it.
What are you talking about?
We got to do it.
This I feel
in a previous take where we had technical issues. Tyler said, "Well, my wife had this full-time job that was keeping her extremely busy, and she just quit that to go to the other thing." And I aptly pointed out that Jackie worked 1 day a week for her last job.
She would kill you.
I know.
She would kill you.
By the way, I do want to preface that by saying she earned her way into working 1 day a week.
Sales is something where you develop relationships, and then eventually you stay on top of that.
And by the way, she was the number one medical device salesperson in the country, right?
She was the valedictorian 1 year. Yeah.
Didn't she win like an all expense paid massive trip because of her sales?
They call it President's Club. Yes.
Okay, so Jackie is the number one medical device sales, and I had no idea. But if you're the number one medical device salesperson in the country, you work 1 day a week, which sounds awesome to me. It sounds awesome to me. So then I called Jackie when I was moving back to America, and I was like, Jackie, your job sounds pretty cush. Like 1 day a week and you're getting sent on trips, I'm in. Like, hey, will you do me a favor? Can you talk to your company? Because, I mean, I don't want to brag, but I have a little bit of sales experience. I sold timeshares. I was like, I think I'm ready for the big leagues. Like, for the one you... Oh, God.
This is you pitching that you...
Can you put me in like introduce me to who I need to talk to because I would love to work for your company. And she was like, no, they won't want you. And I was like, is it because I'm a cannibal? And she was like, no, it's because you didn't graduate high school. So, thanks for hooking it up, Jax.
You didn't graduate from high school?
Well, I mean, like, I got a GED.
My God, I didn't know this.
Yeah, I got a GED in 11th grade.
I know you didn't go to college, but I did not.
Yeah, a good enough. I got a good enough degree.
I would love it if you legitimately were not a high school graduate.
I mean, I'm as close to not being a high school graduate as you can possibly go.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like a foster kid that has just been emancipated, like that maybe got a real raw end of the deal, still goes to high school.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So then my wife started a company and it's killing it. It's called The Fresh Test.
Okay.
And anyone that's pregnant has to drink a drink that determines if they have gestational diabetes, and it's gross and it's like nearly poison. And my wife has a wonderful replacement for it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they haven't changed the formula for the gestational diabetes test since the 70s, correct?
Earlier than that.
Really?
Since longer than that.
Okay.
And it still has products that are illegal in Europe right now.
I mean, that's most American food, isn't it?
So we're going to be loaded. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Somebody's killing it.
Now she can work one day a month.
Oh God, she would kill you. So, and then also, I don't know. It's hard to see right now, but I have a 6-pack. That's a real big.
Show us.
2024.
Show us, you coward.
Listen, maybe
lift up the sweater. Oh. Come on, you want to say you got a 6-pack? Put your money where your mouth is.
I'll tell you what. Let's get someone here. You can punch me in the stomach. Let's see what and I
we're gonna come back to this because I want to see the 6-pack.
Okay, I'm open to that. Okay, so since starting this, you, my great friend, were on my podcast.
That's true.
Which was our highest rated episode, and you. By being on that podcast, I got a call and someone goes, hey, dude, we just watched your podcast. We have a mutual friend. It was a producer that was like, listen, I need your attention. We have a mutual friend. I just watched your podcast. We had someone drop out of a movie. I didn't know Armie.Hammer was like working. We thought he was like gone for good.
Yeah.
And we need to hire someone immediately. And then I go, well, tell me about this project. And then they go, well, it's this, here's the screen. Let me explain the screenwriter. And they explained that the screenwriter had written, is it called Assault in Cell Block 99?
No, Brawl in Cell Block 99.
Great.
But the screenwriter had also written Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah, which is maybe one of the best Westerns of all time.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, Unforgiven might be one of the best Westerns of all time.
We're not ranking them. They're saying one of the best.
You just put a rank on a movie. So
I just said one of the best.
Okay, fair. Yeah. The story from my end is hilarious.
Wait. One, and then also it was I had just watched Dragged Across Concrete. Is that what it's called?
Another one
with Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, you have my full attention.
Yeah.
And then he was like, and Thomas Jane is in it.
Yeah.
I was like, the Punisher.
Yeah.
And then I go, but where's the money? Because they were talking about a ton of money.
Yeah.
And I was like, where's the money? And then he goes, it's in an escrow account. And I go, can you screenshot that to me?
No way.
And they go, yeah.
Like, I feel like your number one thing that you watch, like
people getting busted
every now and then. Well, not every now and then, pretty regularly, I'll get a text message from you at like 3:00 in the morning of you being like, you got to watch this guy's interrogation. It's crazy. And like, it's a 4-hour video. And I'm like, how much of this did you watch? You're like, I watched it twice. And it's like, you lay in bed at night and you watch these videos of criminals getting busted for one thing or another.
Yeah. But like slow,
Jerry still looks pretty sweaty.
Long drawn out busts.
How we doing, Jerry?
I like long drawn out busts.
Yeah.
But I have a new sweet spot, which is Karens, drunk Karens at a DUI stop going off on cops.
Okay.
Or People.
What is the longest drunk Karen getting busted at a DUI video that you've watched?
It's like a 2-hour ordeal, and then I listen to it as I'm going to bed, or someone unhinged.
What would Huberman say
someone
about
drunk and unhinged at the airport?
Oh, okay.
What would Huberman think about that? That's a good question. Hey, by the way, he's coming on my podcast with and River and I are going to interview him together.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
fun.
very excited about it. Who are some other guests I'm excited about? Josh Brolin is going to come on my podcast. I think I love that guy.
He's like, hey, River, do you know what a prefrontal cortex is? And River's like, no.
Is that a part of a brain?
Yeah, it's going to be a great interview.
I feel like if you can explain something to a 9-year-old, then like you're good.
Yeah.
Which honestly, that's about my
part of your thinker is broken.
Yeah. Dumb it down. Who else? Who's a guest that you're excited about?
We've got a guy coming up. I don't want to say too much, but do you know what locked in syndrome is?
No.
Locked in syndrome is basically where from the exterior, it looks like a person is in a coma. No responses, like they're in a full-blown coma,
okay,
but they're fully conscious. And they can hear everything. They can see everything.
Oh, my God.
But they can't even communicate, even with eye motions, that they're awake. So, like, imagine laying in a hospital bed,
wow,
being perfectly conscious for 10 months.
I'd rather die.
100%.
Yeah.
He said that each day felt a year long.
Good Lord.
So I'm excited about having him on the podcast. Who else are we having up, Producer Jerry?
That sounds like the old Metallica video.
Yeah, we're going to get Flava Flav on there.
Flava Flav.
Yeah.
Did you already interview him?
We were supposed to.
What happened?
Well, yeah, he Flava flaked on us. He got to the airport and he forgot his passport.
Okay.
Standard.
All right.
And then he missed 2 flights after getting his passport. And then was going to get to our podcast at like 4:00 in the afternoon, and he had like a 5:15 out. So we'd also been set up since 10:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
So I was surly about it, and I was like, no. Like, I don't care what time you get here, bro. Like, we've been sitting here since 10. And by the way, in full disclosure, I didn't even want to have him back. But, I got over myself, and I got over my ego, and I was like, okay, this is probably to be expected.
Who is a guest that you've reached out to that did not respond?
Yeah. Let's put it this way. My podcast is a pretty hard sell for people to come on right now. They're like, the cannibal guy? Like, no, we're good. Good. Yeah. I reached out to a very famous, very successful person who had also been very publicly canceled, who has brought their career back for themselves. And someone who I know, who I've like spoken to.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, listen, man, like you and I have had amazing conversations about all of this stuff. And honestly, like you've helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of wisdom that you have earned the hard way. Like, I think that these are really important conversations that we have. Would you ever be open to coming on and doing the podcast with me? And all I got back was, no, that's not for me.
Wow.
And I was like, you know what? I appreciate you not pussyfooting around with my feelings. Like, thanks for being direct. Okay, no problem.
Who was it?
I don't want to say who it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'll tell you offline.
Well, I told you, I mean, if anytime I'm listening to something and people are saying, I tell you offline, I'm like, screw those people. But I understand. So, but I also tried.
I'm happy to blow my own shit up. I don't want to blow somebody else's shit
fair enough. But I also thought that you should have JoJo Siwa on your podcast, and she didn't respond to you.
No, I sent her a DM on Instagram, and I never heard back.
Instagram's
got this new thing, right? Where it's like you used to send a DM on Instagram, and it would go to their inbox.
Yeah.
Now it's like your invitation to chat has been sent to this person. So I don't know what folder that goes to or what it looks like to get an invitation to chat. But I mean, there's a handful. I sent one right before this podcast. You would think that I learned my lesson about sending people DMs. Not at all. Not at all. I sent one right before we started doing this, and it said the same thing. Like, your invitation to chat has been sent. They have to accept it. They have to accept the invitation before they even see the message. So we'll see.
Okay, who's someone that you are? Is there anyone that you have in mind that you would want to be on your podcast that you're just thinking of right now that you haven't messaged?
Yeah, I mean, we've got lists and lists of people.
I would like Russell Brand to be on the podcast. I would like
He'd be a good one.
I really like this actress Jill Wagner, who is on the show Lioness. She's like the butchy
okay.
lesbian.
She's great in the
Special
show.
Forces
She's
girl.
like jacked,
She
dude.
thought of that show.
That's amazing.
It's her idea.
By the way, I love that show.
Lioness is the single best show on TV.
It's incredible.
Agreed.
I feel like Taylor Sheridan doesn't miss.
Sicario is the best.
It's almost like he just prints money.
Yeah,
too.
100%. Wait, he wrote. I think he wrote Sicario, and Denis
maybe
directed it.
But he also did, what was it, 1883, 19...
Yeah, they're all awesome. They're all
awesome.
I've never seen a bad show.
Didn't he also do, did he write Hell or High Water?
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I think he might have.
That's amazing.
I'm not sure.
I
once got, you know how they do like the phishing text messages? Where it's like, you get a text where it's like, hey, it was so great to meet you. And then you're like, I'm sorry, I don't know who this is. And they're like, oh, it's me. And then they send a picture of like a hot chick.
Yeah, I thought that was just me for a while.
No. Yeah, no, that happens. I got one of those phishing text messages of somebody pretending to be Taylor Sheridan. So I'd met Taylor Sheridan years ago.
Yeah.
And I get a text message and it's like, hey, Armie, it's Taylor Sheridan.
Okay.
And I was like, what's up, dude? And he's like, hey, do you have Timothy Chalamet's phone number?
Shut up.
And I was like, yeah. And he's like, can I get it from you? And then all of a sudden my spidey sense went off. And I was like, hey, just remind me, where did we meet? Like, just remind me, like, you and I have met. Where did we meet?
Yeah.
And I didn't get a response.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, either I have sussed out a phishing attempt or he's busy. So I'm not going to respond to anything else.
Yeah.
Then, like, a day later, I get a text message where he's like, hey, a friend of mine wants to meet you. And I was like, okay. Because still, I'm also holding out hope.
That's a great story.
That this is Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah.
Because that would be awesome, right? Like, you got a job for me, bro? But this is before I even got canceled. So I was really hoping that it was, no. This might have been after I got canceled.
Oh, so you're like, yeah.
I was like, what's up, bro? Like, I will do anything short of sucking your dick for a job, dude. Like, what do you got? And he's like, a friend of mine wants to meet you. And I was like, oh, who? And all of a sudden, a naked picture of a chick comes through, like a hot naked chick, and I was just like, "God damn it, this is not Taylor Sheridan.
Not Taylor Sheridan.
Not Taylor Sheridan.
I am not going to be the big cowboy on the next
part of me
spinoff.
Part of me wishes that I would have just been like, bought the whole like, hey, it's Taylor Sheridan. Will you send me Timothy Chalamet's phone number? And I was like, sure. Here you go.
Also, do you know where he lives?
Yeah. Yep. Here's his address.
Cinema Fruit Basket.
Yeah.
That's a terrific story.
Yeah.
Chalamet is having quite the year.
He's having quite a year.
Yeah. Our Ashton and Nikki were talking to him recently, dude, and he somehow managed to. Oh, I just really remembered this. Has lights that turn on and off.
Oh God, now we have to start over again.
There we go.
The sweater wasn't on.
Hey, sweater's on. Sweater's on. He somehow became a college football expert.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah. FMU is, by the way, where I went to college, is having a killer year. Killer college year.
Couldn't tell you anything about it.
They're killing it.
Love them.
Yeah, I'm very proud of my school. They, for some reason, they had a higher recruitment than ever before. That's like their recruitment, or not recruitment, their enrollment or people applying, applications doubled. SMU is like the school to go to right now.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I was just in Austin because I was doing the Your Mom's House podcast,
dude,
with Tom and Christina.
By the way, They are amazing.
It's incredible.
I'm so
By the way, they have a
excited.
full operation. It's amazing what they're doing. Like, I'm like, I want to model everything that I'm doing after what you guys are doing. So I went around and like picked their brains of like their business people.
What'd you pick up?
I mean, just like advertisement, how to do this, how to scale, like all that kind of stuff.
Tom Segura, out of that whole crew of comedians that run with Joe Rogan, I think Tom Segura is maybe the sharpest. Like
he's very sharp.
He just as like a business guy. Like
he
seems like a bird. All those guys are awesome. I love them, but Tom Segura seems like a ninja.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's great.
Yeah.
They're awesome too. The way they interact with each other is fantastic. But
she's hilarious.
Anyway, I was in Austin.
Yeah.
And this is all I know about college sports. I mean, you know me, dude. I'm not a big football I'm just not a big sports guy besides for like maybe boxing. Like, this is about it. But
yeah, you throw like a girl.
Should we have a throwing contest right now?
Remember that time?
Show us your six-pack and let's have a throwing contest.
Remember that one time that we were on it was while we were on the Vespa tour.
Yeah.
Riding across America on Vespas.
Yeah.
And we somehow like came across, we were in the Ocean Reef Club. We were at Ocean Reef Club.
Yeah.
And they had a volleyball net set up.
Yeah.
And our group of guys, we're all pretty in shape and I mean, I'm the oldest one, but it was a pretty young posse.
Yeah.
And we came across kind of like some out of shape dudes, and they challenged us to a volleyball match, and they beat us, and it was humiliating.
I mean, to be fair, our group, we were all shit-faced.
I wasn't.
You weren't, but you didn't help us at all. So what does that say about you? Well, they had these things at Ocean Club that were called reef buckets.
Do you know what you do?
Do you remember reef buckets?
Wait a second. Do you know what you do that only my son has? And like, the only other person that I know that does this is my son.
Okay.
Is that you will like, because I played on your team, like we've played pickleball on a team, and you're great at pickleball. But this one problem as a teammate is that you will miss, like you'll lose like 3 points in a row, and then as soon as your teammate makes one mistake, you dog out your teammate.
That is not even true. You're just hypersensitive to it because you dog yourself out on the pickleball court harder than anyone I've ever seen. I've seen you literally scream and throw your paddle when you miss a shot. And I'm like, Tyler, like, it's okay. And you're like, stop dogging me. And I'm like, you just hit yourself in the head with your paddle because you missed a shot. Like, I'm not dogging you, dude.
You do that.
You do that.
You do that. And my son does it. My son will miss like 4 shots. As soon as I have one, he'll go, Dad.
First of all, I don't know what you're talking about, me losing 3 points in a row. The last time you and I played pickleball, I beat you 11-0.
No, that's
you know that's
strike
true.
That from the record.
You know that's true. That is true.
Strike that from the record. So,
okay, wait. So, since we're doing a 2024 recap, what are the things that you noticed in yourself in 2024 that you want to take with you into 2025? And then what are the things that you noticed in yourself that you would like to leave in 2024?
Oh, geez. Okay. So, what I'd like to leave, I mean, I am definitely developing, because of this podcast, I find that I'm like checking my phone a lot, and I'm like taking in a ton of media. Like, I tell myself that I want to stay current as if this is a news podcast. And so I'm just listening to a lot of like, commentators talking about like just, what ends up being like really divisive issues, and it's just getting in my head. And then I've also really developed, like, as we were talking about, like a real strong taste for some really dark,
pornography,
true life, not pornography, true life, like murder stories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then it's so odd that I find it really relaxing. And my wife is like,
what's the most gruesome murder story that you found yourself self-soothing with?
This couple took in this girl. Excuse me. This couple took in this girl. This, like, the girl that was like struggling. This couple let her live at their house for a while. She leaves the house. She gets some terrible boyfriend. They decide to kill this couple and steal their stuff. And they don't like just do it quick. They bury this couple alive. and because they're too chicken to shoot them, so they just get them in this hole, they bury them alive, and it's like making me sad thinking about it right now. So every now and then one will stick in my head, and I just get real sad about it.
I heard that if you're being buried alive, and I mean, obviously this is probably if there's like a landslide situation, more than like if someone's monitoring you. I think if you like wiggle your body as you're being buried, you kind of go up to the top. Not go up to the top, but like
this couple was old and already kind of handicapped. Like she was living with an older, sweet couple, and just didn't go well for the couple. I mean, she couldn't have been. So yeah, I mean, just talking about it bums me out. Anyway, so I'm gonna try to not take in stuff that bums me out, and then I'm gonna try not to like look too hard at like the. I mean, I'm sure you know this. It is so difficult to get people so I can get people to watch the YouTube clips, but to get them to subscribe to the channel. I hope, by the way, if anyone's watching this, subscribe. So, and it's never like no matter how many people are subscribing, it's never enough.
Sure.
And so then also that's becoming a bit of an unhealthy thing. And let's see what else. Although I'm very excited about how the podcast is growing, those are negative things that are happening.
Gotcha.
And they're not getting better; they're getting worse.
Yeah.
And let's see what else. Although I do love a real good true crime podcast. Love it. What I would like to take with me into 225, I think I've been making some pretty good choices. Like I'm very proud of myself. My wife and I are like really kind of grooving together.
Yeah.
And I want that to keep going and ramp up. Like we're having a really good year together. My kids are rocking.
Cute kids, man.
They're cute kids. We both have very cute kids. We should be very grateful for that. In my recovery posse, there have been a lot of people relapsing.
Yeah.
And I'm extra.
Well, what are they? Is it? Would you say over the holidays or just in general over the last year?
Last couple months. There's been a lot of relapses.
Well, that's what they say, right? Like Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's, they called the Bermuda Triangle.
It's like, but why? Why does it have to be like? I mean,
because it's holidays. People are sitting around. Everyone's drinking. Like, and also a lot of people are back with their families of origin, which, by the way, sucks most of the time. I mean, Ram Dass has a great kind of pithy quote where he says, any man who thinks he has achieved enlightenment should go back and live with his family for a week.
That is a great quote.
I
have such an eeasy time with my family. And even though my brother Ashton and I battle.
But by the way, you do and you don't.
What does that mean?
Like, you and Ashton particularly still fight like you're 12 and 15 years old.
That's just always going to be the case. And
right. But I think you're just so used to it that, like, from the outside perspective, it's like, God, you guys are just fucking fighting all the time. But you guys are just like, this is just how it is, you know?
Maybe.
Definitely.
There's such a love there, but we do.
You guys love each other, but I don't know anybody who knows how to push anybody's buttons as well as Ashton knows how to push your buttons. And I also have seen you.
This is what Ashton does sometimes. He will, like, I'll tell a story, and then literally as I'm telling the story, he will look to someone in the middle of the story that I'm telling, halfway through it, as I'm still talking, and start talking about why my version of the story is BS or something.
Right. But that's only one example of how you guys get under each other's skin. Because, by the way, he knows how to push your buttons better than anyone I've ever seen push buttons.
Yes.
And you fly off the handle at only Ashton. Because I feel like if anybody else was doing that, you'd be like, whatever.
No one else will do that.
But when it's Ashton, you're like, I'm going to kill you. And it's like, I swear to God, like if you two were left in a room by yourselves, unchecked for like more than an hour, like we would come back and you guys would be in actual fisticuffs.
I don't even think that if we're left in a room unchecked, we get along great. We get along.
Is it just the other people around?
First of all, we get along.
You guys get along great, but you still fight like brothers.
There's very few people that I respect as much as Ashton and love as much, or that I'm more proud of. But yes, we fight just like brothers, like because we're brothers. I don't fight like that with Corbett. But Ashton also sometimes I'm like, he'll have these ideas and I'm just like, I don't understand how we could be so far apart on what to do, like what to. Every now and then I'm just like, are you on another planet? I don't. It boggles my mind. But the main thing is he just starts talking in the middle of me telling a story or something, and he'll be talking about why the story is dumb to someone, and I can hear it, and I just don't understand it.
Fair.
Okay, so those are the things that I want to take into next year. I think I'm like, honestly, I'm real happy with myself.
I had something else I wanted to bring up.
Like I turned 50. And it is traumatic. I mean, 50 is an actual number.
I've never heard you admit that out loud.
I do. I feel like I'm 50. I know. I feel that I'm 27. That's how I.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm like more fit. I feel like I'm
Show
fit
us
as
the
a
six-pack.
fiddle. And
Show us the six-pack.
mentally cooking. But there's something about the number 50 that did get in my head, which I was sort of surprised about.
Oh.
I was talking to someone else who had a bunch of relapses at 50. I'm like, I can kind of see how that happens. But I did.
You don't feel like you're
about
close to relapse?
No, I don't.
Never.
I have terrible thoughts that go in my head all the time.
Okay.
Like anytime I think that there is an IPA I haven't tried, I'm like, oh, I could probably do that now. I have two thoughts in my head at the same time.
Did you like IPA?
Yeah, I loved IPA.
Oh.
They're filling too. I love, and they get you twice as drunk as a normal beer. So in some ways I go, I could do this. I could get away with it. And I also,
by the way,
stop.
That's the most alcoholic thought I've ever heard you say out loud is I could get away with it, because you never get away with it.
I never get away with it. Like I never can stop. And I never.
This I think is one thing that you and I have in common is you and I, if we ever do anything, we pay the maximum penalty.
That's completely true.
Like some people do get away with shit.
Some people get away with stuff.
We don't have that.
I don't.
Karma.
I've never got away with stuff.
Like,
agreed.
You have a drink and then you get arrested for sleeping in your car, or like crash a car into a tree. I do whatever I do and suffer global consequences. Like it's like you and I pay the price.
You were so correct.
Yeah.
You were so correct. I remember trying to come back. I can't remember what country I was trying to come back from. And I thought, this is such a long flight. I can drink on this flight. And I go, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And the next thing I know, I'm missing like my computer, all my. I'm like, this is the repercussions are so much more severe than I expected.
Well, I remember flying with you back from Spain, and you were so drunk in the airport that you tried to stab the gate agent with your sunglasses. They said to you, do you have any weapons on you? And you were wearing sunglasses in the airport, bobbing and weaving, because we'd been out all night the night before with a pack of street gypsies. We found a group of gypsies in Barcelona. I don't even know if you can say gypsies anymore, but I think they called themselves gypsies. So we go out all night with a bunch of street gypsies and then get to the airport, and we're both out of it. You're so drunk that you're like weaving on your feet, and I speak Spanish. The woman says, do you have any weapons? And you... nothing. And she looks at me and she goes, does he have any weapons? And I look right. I go, she wants to know if you have any weapons. And I just remember so clearly you like looked at her and you smiled and you took off your sunglasses real slow and you folded one side, then you folded the other side, and then you went and you lunged at her with your sunglasses to stab her and almost got arrested in the airport.
That did happen.
Yeah.
And then you punched me.
I did punch you.
You're supposed to.
I punched you very hard.
You're supposed to drop resentments in this program. Of AA, and every now and then I'm like, I don't resent that, but I'm like, I do. I do resent that.
Well, I punched you before that because
sucker punch.
I sucker punched you because you wouldn't get into the car, and the driver was like, I got to get you guys to the airport, or you're gonna miss your flight. And we
it was terrible to miss that flight.
We got back to the apartment that I was staying in like 5 minutes before we were supposed to leave for the flight, and neither of us were packed, and we were shit-faced, and the driver was like, guys, we gotta go. and you refused to get in the car. I even opened the door and tried to push you into the car, and you just were like, no. It was like a kid who didn't want to get into a bathtub.
Yeah.
You were like, no, 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 no. Like you just straight up refused to get in the car. So I was just like, I don't know what else to do. So I just uppercutted you in the stomach as hard, like hard.
You did.
Completely knocked the wind out of you. You crumpled on the ground, and then I loaded you into the car, and then I got in the front seat because you were like laying in the back seat, like
Yes. Yeah.
You know that noise, like the grape.
Yeah.
That lady who smashed the grapes, who fell, who was like, no, no, no. You were making that noise in the back seat. I'm sitting in the front seat, and I turn around and look at you, and I go, hey, man, I'm really sorry, but like I had to get you in the car. We were going to miss the flight. And you were just like, and like refused to talk to me until you tried to stab the lady who worked in the airport.
Well, fortunately, I did not get put on the do not fly list.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So the other thing that I think is really interesting about, okay, so not only are you excited about working again, but I think you also have had a chance to express that it is what I see as an outrageous difference between the truth of what some people think and what actually happened.
Sure.
Like, and I think
just to go back to what you said really quickly about being excited to work, yes. But also, I had a very interesting moment when I was on set making Frontier Crucible, this Western that we just did. It's like on the second or third day of shooting, I remember standing on set and thinking like, wow, it's really nice to be working again. And it feels very familiar. It feels very comfortable. And I'm loving being on set again. And then immediately I had the thought, but this doesn't define me. Because I remember before I went back to work, I got to a place where if you told me that I was never going to work again, sure, there'd be part of me that was like, this is a bummer. I really loved doing that. But I would have been okay. Like I was okay with the idea of never working again. But now I'm working again, and I'm okay with the fact that I'm working again, but I have been able to find who I am, what I'm made of, what I'm worth, my own sense of esteem, self-esteem, my own sense of value outside of work. Whereas before, work was really the only thing that I derived any sort of esteem or value from.
Right.
Because it said something about me that I was working. So then that goes away, and I had to find out who I was outside of all of that. So then to go back to work, it felt really good, but I just remember very clearly having that thought of like, this doesn't define me. Like, this doesn't mean that I'm okay now.
Right.
This doesn't mean that I'm good. This doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm just here doing what I love, and I'm very grateful for that. But it was a very different experience.
Do you know that, have you had anyone watch your podcast and then tell you that something helped them?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing about having a podcast.
Yeah.
We had this guy date this actor that is so awesome, David Desmalchian. He is one of my favorite actors, and the role that I love the most that he is Polka Dot in Suicide Squad 2.
Yeah, I remember that. He was great in that.
But he kills everything he's in.
Yeah.
So he was like in Dune. He was anyway. He talked about like his whole purpose now is he just wants to tell people like you're not alone. People that are like, and
you mean like ghosts?
Not ghosts.
No.
He doesn't want to tell people anything about aliens, but he might actually. I can see him being very interested in ghosts and aliens. But is
he part of the Disclosure Alliance?
I got so many people reaching out and be like, dude, I'm going through something.
Yeah.
And I watched that and I think I'm going to reach out and try to get some help. And
awesome.
It put like wind in my wings. Is that the sails? Wind in my sails. And it made me very excited. So I want to try to be really.
Both. I think you can say you're the wind beneath my wings. And you're
He's
also the wind in my sails.
He's the wind beneath. David Desmalchian right now today is the wind beneath my wings.
Yeah.
And I had so many people reaching out, made me so happy. And then I had this other guy, Keegan, fucking baller. And it's like I've had some people, some guests, and people respond to, and it makes me think that although I really love being silly, I love being silly. I am very happy that it's some people have like had a really.
I have a story about that. So not about being silly, but so we had a guest come onto the podcast and they reached out to us, which is a new phenomenon. We have a guest who reaches out to us and says, I love your podcast. I love what you guys are doing. I love the conversations that you guys are having on there. I would love to come onto your podcast.
Yeah.
And I will get myself there. I will do all of this, like all that stuff. And we were just like, we were kind of floored and blown away of just like, this is the first time this has ever happened. Like, okay, this is easy. And then
what's wrong with this guy?
Kind of, because then leading up to the podcast, producer Jerry started having nightmares that this person was actually coming as like a Trojan horse and was coming to the podcast to kill me.
Oh my God.
Because of like, I have heard all of these things and I know all of these things about this person that I believe to be true. So I have to go kill this person. And he had recurring dreams about this. So maybe because it was the fear of the unknown or like what, or just like the idea that someone's coming to us and they're coming into my house.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have your studio. Like I do this in my living room / office / bedroom / closet, you know? So like, so Jerry shows up the day that we're shooting the podcast and he's like, hey man, I don't want to freak you out, but I've been having recurring nightmares that this person is actually coming here to kill you. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, I mean just that. Like, I think that they're coming here to kill you. And I was like, it's really cute, Jerry. Turns out he was the nicest guy in the entire world and it was a great episode and he really was the sweetest dude in the world and he didn't try to kill me.
Amazing.
When strangers get into our house, Jerry and I are ready.
So it's like, why is Jerry having those dreams? Is Jerry thinking about killing you? Like, I wonder what it's like.
Are you thinking about killing me, producer Jerry?
Why?
Have you ever thought about killing me? I mean, but it's like that thing of like, when I'm alive, everyone hated me and I'm the cannibal, like evil dude. And I bet.
No, you're this. Okay, wait.
The minute I get killed.
That I think the attitude is that I think all of a sudden people are becoming aware that that is bullshit. Like that
I think so.
That there's absolute that a stalker has been harassing you for what, the last 10 years and
like 7 years
and is this unhinged stalker is the one that has made all these accusations.
Well, it's like this. The person who accused me of all of those things is the same person who tried to sneak into premieres, tried to sneak into my hotels, left.
We just believe what was just the last thing we read that was just written.
Yeah.
It's not even like you're believing
this is the person.
Or I have such a mouth open, like, girl.
Yeah.
When I think about how destructive that was and is.
But by the way,
and how
it's also
outlandish.
I want to be very clear, and I know that I've talked about this. I know I talked about it on your podcast.
Yeah.
I know I've talked about it on my podcast. Like, it's also the greatest life-changing event that has ever happened to me.
Yeah, I know because
that's what your podcast is all about. These painful lessons. These painful lessons. Like, pain is the great teacher.
Oh, great. Painful. My partner Ben likes to come around to be like, what's the painful lesson? Painful lesson is pain is the greatest teacher.
Pain is the great teacher. That's it. We don't learn things the easy way as human beings. We're too stupid for that. You need to get hit in the fucking head by something to go, oh, I get it. And I got it.
My most recent relapse is turning out to be the most valuable experience I've ever had in my life. And that's
what was your most recent relapse for the listeners?
My most recent relapse is when I I just had like a second DUI. It's like people found me in like my car surrounded by throw up, and my wife was just like, enough is enough, dude, and didn't say it like that. Created a very clear boundary, and I just was like, got the sense enough is enough. And then I really kind of that humbled me to the point where I was just like, realized there's no more rope, there's no more options. Like, and I also was so disgusted with what had happened, and I had so much guilt, and I thought, I'll never forgive myself for this. And this guy prayed for me, and and I felt like God, Jesus, everything came to me. It's like, let's get through this. And I was like, I'm with you. And it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. And my relationship with my wife has been on fire since then, and my kids. And I'm so happy that that they have no idea what drunk Tyler is like. They'll never know. Thank God. And so it's the best thing ever.
It's good.
Yeah. Boy, I don't like telling that story.
But dude, that's like the thing.
No, I know it's a great story.
No. It's not just that it's a great story. This is what I've learned over the short time that I've been doing a podcast. Yeah. And I know that you've seen this too, but like those things, like you saying, God, I'm so uncomfortable telling the story. Like,
yeah,
that's what you gotta lean into.
That's what you gotta
doing this. Like the uncomfortable, like that which makes us uncomfortable is what we have to go towards.
Well,
you know?
Apparently nothing else is enough. Nothing else, like enough was not enough before that.
Yeah.
I never to my core said I'm done forever. And because you know that I've been in rehab before, and I've had other moments where it's like, I'm gonna stay sober. But I feel that I was always dancing with these other, so it's like I was always focused on alcohol, but then I would just take massive amounts of Xanax or Ambien or Adderall or weed or some kind of Vicodin or anything. And this time I'm like, no, it's kind of a superpower. I love being present all the time. I'll bring present. I love feeling all the feelings.
We are getting to that point.
Oh yeah, we're at the point. We're running out of time.
We're at that point where we've run out of time.
Which is 3 hours setting up, and so we're out of time.
I would like to point out that I was not asked about what I want to leave in 2024 or take into 2025. So now they'll never know.
Good.
All
right, we're done. This is the greatest set ever.
I think that I do want to say I am very grateful for, all the people who listen to both of our podcasts. It's been a really fun adventure, and I hope that we get to continue doing it.
If you are listening to my podcast or his podcast, let's just say our podcast, thanks.
Thanks, Hammerheads. I still love that Hammerheads thing. All right.
You gotta play Christmas music.
Yeah. Producer Jerry.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Producer Jerry.
That was a really sweet moment, Producer Jerry.
I feel
all right.
Like
I gotta go. I actually.
Producer Jerry.